Was good time.
Good time, not any better. Just hop on there and how you get on.
I think you can. Oh, he's just pulled into the bus stop. Goosey, goosey, goosey. Going on a bus.
Huh? Again?
Going on a bus.
It's 1 hour and we'll be back at the stop in 52 minutes. We have 21 stops along the way, but we do not necessarily stop at all of them. We always stop here, number 1, Exhibition Square. And next scheduled stop will be 6 for the Shambles, followed by 7 for Clifford's Tower and 19 for the station. If you do want any gift spots, please do ring the bell. If you go through Peter Park, you one of those archways, it will take you onto Peter Gate. And you can see that many of our streets end in the word gate. And that is thanks to the Vikings. Although it was the Romans who shaped the city, it was the Vikings who named the streets. And the Viking word for street was Gata, which over time has become gate. So on our right hand side we have Peter Gate, the street of St. Peter. And St. Peter is the patron saint of the city. Every church that has been built on the site of the current minster has been dedicated to St. Peter. So York Minster's full name is the Cathedral and Metropolitical Church of St. Peter in York. And it is called a minster because that word comes from both monasterium, meaning mother church, and ministerium, meaning administrative centre. Because it was here that the clergy from northern England were trained. The next street up in front will be Chilligate, the street of St. Giles.
Windy one. That bear down there looks like he's having a fag.
Puffing on a vape.
Oh, he could be puffing on a vape.
Stonemason is holding a model of the city walls on his arm.
It's going to be windy on
In
here.
his arms.
I don't know.
The mayor is wearing his robes of office.
Could be
We have the
windy.
ultimate say on who
If it's
is
windy, I
allowed
apologise for the wind
not.
noise.
And the knight, Close Stewart, is holding his sword. It was his job to defend
It would have been
the
lovely
city.
yesterday.
Yeah. You keep smoking that bear, you keep smoking.
Place to start because they have an accredited museum in their basement, and there you can learn more about the layout of the Roman fortress and more about the Odenbuilding work that took place in the 1960s to stop your Minster's central tower from falling down. Picking up the line of the walls on our right hand side, and the first thing you'll note is the round corner tower. This is part of the Victorian refurbishment. It would have been a square tower in Roman times, with a Roman wall lies underneath the glacier back, possibly as far as 8 feet below. It was then covered up with earthworks piled up as animals were sanctioned from the height over many hundreds of years. It was then in the medieval times that the York walls were built on top of everything that had come before, and they went from the 50 acres of the Roman fortress to the 262 acres that you can see today. And of course you can walk on them between the doors. Looking out to your right, we have York Minster, the largest Gothic cathedral in Northern Europe. It took 250 years to build and was completed in 1472. It has 128 windows, which contain half of the medieval stained glass in Europe. In fact, the largest expansive medieval stained glass anywhere in the world is at York Minster, and that is because is the Great East Window, which dates back to. Then you will see Monk Bar. This is the tallest and strongest of the 4-bar entrances into the city, which is 4 stories high when the others are 3. It was strengthened during the time of Richard III. It is said to be the only of our 4-bar entrances.
Yeah, this is the way back up to our accommodation, Ascot House.
Strengthened during the time of Richard III. It is said that it is the only of our 4-bar entrances to have a working portcullis. The word portcullis comes from the French and means sliding door. But when I say working, by the blue roadside you can see some black fences, and through there some hedges. Keep looking to your left now. The interweaving of hedges here on your left is said to resemble the interweaving of threads in a tapestry, showing the Tudor love of control and If we look straight over the roundabout now, there lies the suburb of Hewer. This was the birthplace of one of York's most famous daughters. Dame Judy Dench was born down there 90 years ago. She went to Mount School, which is
That's
down
where
by
we're
the
staying.
racecourse, which today is England's only
Down there.
all-girls Quaker school. And there she learnt the principle of the Quaker faith. They believe. Now to your right, you can see where the city walls come down, but not when they go back up again. That's a bit of a problem if you wanted to walk on them. That's because at this stage in the city's defences, we never had a city wall. That's because the King's Fish Pool got there first in 1070, and these walls to our right wouldn't have been built till about 200 years later on. So if you do want to walk the walls and you wonder where on earth you go from here, then the answer is you keep following the line of the wall up in front. The line of the river and the road, and you will pick up the line of the wall on your right hand side just after the Blue Bridge.
We've done it a
So
couple
as
of
we go
times.
around this corner, we're looking to our right hand side, and there you will see the end wall of St Cuthbert's Church. The larger pieces there have been recycled from the city walls.
Yeah, you go that
This
way.
church is mentioned in the Domesday Book of 1086. York is reputed to be the most haunted city in Europe, and we do have two pubs that they claim to be the most haunted. Both of them coming up shortly on your left hand side. So first on your left is the Black Swan. Look above the front doorway and see if you can see a black cat just above the people walking. This is one of over 20 cats on rooftops and windowsills around the city. If you do want to find out more about them, you can either download York or find the shop. You'll find York's smallest pub, the Blue Bar, and Rise, which is wonderful for breakfast. Coming up on your right hand side now, we have Collier Gate. This would be the street of the charcoal makers. And we've also got down to right hand side on the shambles. We have a range of natural shops. So
Golden
this was
Fleece.
originally a street of butchers, and that's how this street got its name. The butchers used to display their meat on a large wide windowsill at the front of the shop known as the flesher mill. Flesh meaning meat and shell meaning shell.
I can hear
It's that word
fan.
shamble that over time has become shambles. But today you won't find any butcher shops down there, just a range of magical shops. So that includes the ghost merchant, so a little ghost about the size of my finger. The alchemist, which has a sleeping dragon and eyes in the walls that watch you. The shop that must not be named, and the magic potions cauldron, which sells swirly drinks with wonderful names such as golden, cola, and lemon tea. Which has been proved without that. Village, based on the site of the original 1970s archaeological dig, for over 40,000 migrant artifacts. And you can see many of those artifacts on display today, the York Science Centre. That includes Birkin pots and pans, shoes, beads and clothes, and pieces. Tonight, ceramic again, and next week I think some of the next week. On your right hand side, and this is part of the Merlin Group of Crash. This is where actors were able to use historical glory stories from York Cats, as well as some of the more notorious characters who have come through our halls, and that includes Dick Turpin and Guy Fawkes. Now they're approaching stop number 7. This is next to Clifford's Tower. From here you can access York Army Museum, Fairfax House, which is a Georgian townhouse, Hole in the Wand Magic Golf, the Van Gogh Immersive Experience, which is a film loop about Van Gogh and his work inside of Merton Church, and the York Viking Centre. It is the shape of a 4-leaf clover, and that's because when Henry III had the tower built in stone in 1245, he employed a French architect known as a French design, known as a quatrefoil, meaning 4 lobes. Clifford's Tower has been many things over the years. It was originally built as the Royal Stronghold for Yorkshire. It then became the Royal Mint for the north of England. It's also been the seat of one of the worst episodes of York's history, and that was the Jewish massacre of 1190, when 150 Jews lost their lives inside the tower. But it's now owned by English Heritage, so they will give you a discount of 15% if you show them your bus ticket. Look to your left, the building with the pillars is our Social History Museum, the Castle Museum. And this is particularly famous for its Victorian street. It is just like stepping back in time in now 150 years. To your left, this is the Crown Court, still in use today, although it dates to the 1760s. This is where the more serious cases across the area are dealt with. To your right, we have the Tower Gardens. In there you will find one of York's wonderful independent local coffee shops. I'm going to be pointing 5 of them out to you today. On your right hand side you will find sofas set in a 3-storey tower, like simply from out of the tower. Looking to your left, behind the trains you can see the last remaining section of 14th century Bailey Wall. This gives you an idea of the height and width of the wall, but also how intimidating and imposing those walls would have been to people approaching the city from outside. This is the Foss, the smaller of our two rivers. We are now going to go around Fishergate Postern Tower. Postern Tower is a side or back entrance to the city walls. Postern Tower. This comes from the French word postern means back to the left. Now we look at the tower behind the right. That would have been a toilet or a bar or a room. Over time, and the property that sometimes down to our left, St George's Graveyard. In there just one gravestone standing, that is Dick Turpin.
Dick
It was
Turpin,
laid to rest in
yeah.
1739.
Yeah, down the back there.
100 years later,
We've been in there.
immortalised in the novel Rookwood.
Right at the back.
A swashbuckling highwayman who rode from London to York on black beds in just one night. But that wasn't him. That was Dick Turpin. That was John Emerson. Dick Turpin was a bunch of apprentices. The clever, ruthless, and he was violent. But he
We must have got off here a few times then to see that. Did we just do a look at the wall?
We walked down from the wall.
The International Cuisine you'll find along the street now behind you. Along there you'll find Indian, Italian, Polish, Korean, Thai and Japanese and Argentinian food. Look above the archway there we have the Gatehouse coffee shop. Keep looking to your right now, this is a barber construction. Stewards would have stood on top of those walls to throw all kinds of missiles down on people below. But today you can sit on those walls for 5 days of the week and enjoy your coffee. It is now a wonderful example of a former defensive structure now being used for hospitality. On your right you can see the city walls, and you can see that the ditch at the base of the walls has been filled in and levelled out. That is because for 150 years this entire area was York's tobacco market. From the Barbican behind us down as far as the eye could see, this area will find the palace, the Archbishop of York. But this street up in front was Bishop Hope Road, winner of High Street of the Year in 2015. And if you look around you, you'll be able to see why. This street has a wonderful array of local independent shops. Along here we have butchers, bakers and more than one
Candlestick
grocers.
makers.
Look to your right where you can see the new canopies. We have award-winning coffee shops with queues. Also along the street you will find a hardware store, a bicycle repair shop and a fish and chip shop.
Fish and chip shop we've been in. That's the Indian we went in.
They were built during the They were built to accommodate the workers of our industries.
That guest house we stayed at was just up here, on the right.
What was built for smallest house coming up very shortly. First of all, we are looking for the gaps on either side of 76. First of all, you'll see the gap between 74 and 76. That is coming up on your left-hand side, the front of us now. Keep looking to your left, then you'll see the gap between 76 and 78 now on your left-hand side. That is Self-Patron.
Oh, the little house. Yeah.
You should even stay there on your next visit to the city. It's pleased to know it is much wider than that than it is at the front, but it is still a one-bedroom property. It was built originally as a doctor's surgery. All of these things are placed every year here in York. But we're now looking to our left-hand side, where you will see the former Terry's factory. They operate
Terry's, that was
26 and 2000.
Terry's. I got the wrong one, didn't I? I said it was Roundtree's, I said it was Macintosh, it was Terry's. And it's been built on mainly. Terry's chocolate orange.
Chocolate apple.
Terry's chocolate orange. Been built on. All this has been built on what was Terry's. There it is. Ah, that's better. There it is. Terry's. Not Macintosh, not Roundtree's, not Cadbury's. So your name in chocolate factories. We went down there. Is that where we stayed? We went down there? I think we did. No, down. Yeah, it was down there, weren't it? Yeah. I remember coming past it.
Of wall art up and down the country. To your right, you can see roadworks. This is where a raised road, this area outside the fortress was very much and as the archaeologists, sorry, last year the archaeologists discovered 95 if you go around this corner, you see the archway put into the wall. Way. The such deposits that they're left behind. They're used across this road, but this area has now been flattened and widened and made into a more welcoming approach. This example a lot more.
Shame about the mess outside of it at the moment. Yeah, it's all being changed, isn't it?
At the same time as the hotel up in front, that's the building with the chimneys, and that is because York is halfway between London and Edinburgh, and many people like to break their journey time when they're travelling up and down the country, not least because journey time. The whole site is 2 miles. You don't have to walk all of it because there are steps at regular intervals. If you just want to walk one section, say that you've done it, and the most beautiful section takes number 1 on your map. That takes you from Boulevard to Monkgate Bar. That section is a quarter of a mile long. It will take you 2 minutes.
A good example of how a tale or myth starts can be shown by this cholera graveyard on our right.
No.
Little children will always be
know what?
taken out,
It's
not
still
to
as
stand
cold.
on that piece of land as you would catch cholera.
Yeah.
Of course it's not true, but you will still hear parents telling children that around.
Oh, it is that?
here.
No, you're right. I'm only finishing off here.
We passed through a modern arch put in the city walls to allow for easier traffic flow in 1876 and move onto Lendal Bridge, which was opened in 1861, but it collapsed.
Ah, we're nearly back where we started.
In 1863. It crosses the River Ouse, York's main river, which takes its name from the Celtic or pre-Celtic.
We got on a boat down there, didn't we? In fact, it might have been one of those.
We got on a boat down that side.
Down that side, was it?
Yeah. So is it down that side?
Possible.
It's down
Yeah, we definitely sat at one. Definitely
On the
had.
left is
We
Lendal
sat at one of those bars. I know that.
to the reign of Richard I.
What's that sign?
Since 1299. It was part of the city's defences. In 1677, the tower was leased to the York
Yep.
Waterworks Company.
You weren't
with a
sick on that
princely
one. No
son
fishes
who
were
was
fed.
born here for 500 years. In 2010, the tower was sold and is now a private home. This brings us into Exhibition Square. This is the nearest stop for York Minster, the Art Gallery, King's Manor, Booth and Bar, and the nicest section of the City Hall, as well as the Visit York Information Centre. Thank you to anyone leaving us at this point.
This is where we
hope that you have
started.
enjoyed your tour with York City sightseeing. We hope you will join us again here or at any of our other destinations worldwide. If time and traffic permits, we may pause here for a few minutes. If we do, this bus will be leaving shortly. The tour will take
Impressive house,
approximately
isn't it?
1 hour, during which we will be pointing out places of interest and telling you something of the history of our beautiful city. Your
There's
ticket
that
is
bear
valid
having
for
his fag.
24 hours from the time of purchase. Note that this
Talk to me, Goose.